Alright. I think we're off. Very cool. Very, very cool. Alright. Let's read some patch notes. The music is already too loud for me. 1%. Alright, so when you're reading patch notes, usually the stuff at the top is just general, like it says general changes. That means things like how much experience you get for things, how much gold. It could be map changes. It could be, really anything. When you want to see specifically what happens to your heroes or your items, you just scroll down. Usually heroes are at the bottom and items are at the top. In this specific patch, it looks like there are actually no heroes, no hero changes. Anyway, we're going to scroll to the top because we haven't seen this before. I've only heard one thing about this patch, and we'll get to it, but I'm excited. Okay, so hero kills base experience increased from 40 to 100. So all you need to know now from that is that you get stronger from killing heroes. It looks like Ice Frog, the kind of creator of this game, has been trying to make the game more active, make it more fun to watch, and making kills worth more would do that. Hero kill last hit gold increase. Okay, so again, it's better to kill heroes now, it looks like. Assist gold rescaled from 45 to 30. All right. Oh, the multiplier is different. All right, so it's probably around the same. Oh, I understand. Okay, so that's saying that if the person's worth a lot of money, then you're getting more gold for assist. But if they're worth a small amount of money, they're not worth as much. Not that important. Passive gold income increase from 85 to 95. Okay, you're just gonna get your items faster. Bounty and runes are now reliable gold. All right, what that means, all you need to know about that is that when you die, you won't lose money that you got from bounty runes. Okay, so tower last hit bounty from 180 to rescaled to 120 up to 180. Okay, so heroes like Nature's Prophet, Dragon Knight, heroes that like to take tier 1s and tier 2s quickly are a little bit punished. They get less gold for doing that. So general push strats got nerfed. Again, it's more about killing and less about towers. It's seeing a narrative here. Usually with patches, especially a little bit major ones like this, you will see like a theme of the patch. Like you'll see, okay, they're trying to slow the game down or they're trying to speed it up. What that means is if you're slowing the game down, it means heroes are less inclined to kill each other, and if you're speeding it up, it means they're more inclined. You can also refer to like pushing as well. Like, basically the game is going faster or the game is going slower. Okay, so mid lane creeps camps change from medium to small. Okay, so that means that the creep camps that are next to the mid lane are now weaker, so they're easier to farm earlier. We'll see how that affects heroes like TA and Alchemist who like to farm those camps early. Remove the Prowler camp. No kidding. That's the purple guys. That's the ones that everybody hates. Huh. That's I mean, Reddit has hated that creep for forever since its birth. Adjusted those are the ones, by the way, the purple ones who are big, who stomp and root you. Adjusted the low ground tree layout near both outposts to prevent channeling from low ground without destroying trees first. What? Adjusted the low ground tree layout near both outposts. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So what that means is before you were able to walk under the outpost, use your quelling blade or cut a tree down and get the outpost from the low ground. Now you can't do that. Now you actually have to be on that high ground. That makes sense. It looks like that was not intended. And it was something that players sort of thought of, but certainly not something the developers had in mind. Change the camp to the right of the Radiant Secret Shop from medium to hard camp. Radiant Secret Shop. Okay, not that important for beginners. Swap the hard camp. Not that important, not that important. Reduce the size of the Radiant Safe Lane hard camp. Not important. Radiance. This is specifically for beginners. Radiant Safe Lane small camp spawn box has increased. That'll affect pulling. But You can come back to that because I would need to see the map for that. Outposts can no longer be stolen by the other team until they kill one of your tier 2 towers. Okay, that's a huge change. So you'll see in high level Dota, you'll see people capture outposts even sometimes before the creeps will even spawn. So it looks like they got sick of that, and they got sick of people having an outpost but no map control besides that. So what that means is if you had all the tier 1s, all the enemy tier 1s, you could still get the outpost, or even before that you can get the outpost. And they really want the outpost to be sort of, I guess, an award for how well you're pushing the enemy. Okay, so outposts now reveal enemies channeling it. So you can't do it while smoked anymore. So when you use Smoke of Deceit, you could go and get an outpost and not be seen with it. Outpost vision radius is now shown by holding Alt. Makes sense. What that means is when you can see the range of a tower by pressing Alt, but you couldn't with an outpost, so now you can. All lane creeps now avoid hero aggro until they are near enemy creeps. Yeah, this is the super major thing of this patch that I heard about. I'm not sure if in your games, but there's this mechanic called creep cutting, and what that means is after the first wave of creeps come in, you could take your hero, go behind enemy lines like a tier 1 or tier 2 tower, and bring the enemy creeps to your side of the map or to your tower. And what that would be good for is in lanes in which you couldn't contest last hits normally. Say, for example, an Ursa is against an Axe. An Axe can't really contest an Ursa in lane very well because the Ursa scales so well against melee heroes in lane. So what the Axe could do is Axe could bring in the creeps to other jungle camps or to his tower and kill it that way. Now he can't do that anymore. That's a major change. One quick note about patch notes is that major changes aren't written any differently than non-major changes. Like one bullet point can completely change the game, and that's part of what makes this game pretty awesome. Okay. Career bounty, not career. Career bounty reduced from whatever, not that important. It just looks like you get less for getting couriers. So courier sniping has been nerfed. Courier flying upgrade level requirement reduced from 5 to 4. Okay, so what that means is when you are a low level support and you had to wait until you were level 5, and sometimes that can mean 9 or 10 minutes into the game, now you don't have to wait that long. Now you're probably going to get your flying courier around 6 minutes or 7 minutes even. Okay, as a support. As a carry, it doesn't really matter. You're still getting level 5 pretty fast. Courier movement speed is reduced by 15% while carrying consumables. All right, that's a big deal. So lately, what's been happening in lanes is that it's become this war of nutrition where healing salves and clarities and mangoes are getting shipped out all the time, constantly, especially in the mid lane. You will always see the mid laners courier going back and forth in higher level games, and now they said, all right, that's enough. You can't bring that much stuff to you. So whereas people will still do it, I'm sure. It's just that it's going to take longer, and people will be punished for being on lower HP now. They won't be able to get a salve as quickly. Okay, so armor formula is now 0.06 plus 1. Okay, so you get more armor now. Armor per agility. 1/6 versus... Okay, it's not that important. Tier 1 attack speed increased. Harder to dive towers now. Tower damage reduced from... Never mind. They just changed the attack speed and damage to be different, which is going to screw up people's last hitting to begin with. It's going to take a bit of getting used to. Last hitting under a tower is something that is especially difficult for beginners and even intermediate, because it's just like you have creeps and a tower, and creeps change in the amount of health that they get throughout the game. Last hitting under a tower is difficult. Don't worry if it's hard to last under a tower when this patch comes out, because they did change stuff. Siege units health increased by 60. Not that important. All pick drafting has been reworked. Each team now picks 2 heroes per round before they are revealed, rather than just 1. Okay, cool. So 2 for 2. Okay, makes sense. All pick hero ban count increased from 10 to 12. Alright, so you can ban more heroes now. So when it comes to be that the meta is stale and people have established 10 heroes or so that they hate playing against or they hate playing with, those heroes will just get banned easily. I'll pick first 2 rounds now for extra 5 seconds. Alright, so I'm not going to read every single one of these changes. It seems like all of these changes are for the better for matchmaking. They tend to listen to us when it comes to these little changes for drafting and ranked. Right. Fountain now has Fury Swipe style attacking. What that means is Ursa, he gains the amount of damage he does to a single target the more he hits them. The Fountain is going to work the same way. So when you have people Fountain diving you, they're going to die easily. And when you Fountain dive your enemy after your first win of the day and you're so happy about it, it's going to be difficult. Neutral items nearby enemy range drop restriction from... Neutral items nearby enemy range drop. Okay, so what this means is when you're farming a camp, if an enemy is within 1,200 units of you, a jungle item will not drop. I would say that's like a minor change. It's not a huge change, but take a hero like Tinker, who he's marching down several jungle camps. He likes this change. He doesn't want items to drop if enemies are nearby. So I would say junglers are not, there's junglers anymore. People that farm jungle are just a slight buff. Neutral items will no longer drop if the nearby real hero source of killing is teleporting. Seems more like a Meepo thing, but say for example you Queen of Pain dagger or Gale or any sort of damage over time a creep, and you TP out. As the creep is dying and dies as you're TPing, it will not drop a neutral item, which I like. That was annoying. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to have creeps tick out and then be like, oh crap, a neutral item got dropped. So that's cool. I like that change. Neutral items no longer drop from Meepo clones if the Meepo Prime is not nearby. Okay. Awesome. Nerf to Meepo. He can't split up his other Meepo clones and just get a jungle item as soon as the 10-minute mark comes up, or however. I can't remember when the neutral items spawn, but whatever. Lifesteal Amplification now stacks diminishingly rather than additively. I actually want to know. Do I know what that means? Diminishingly. Chives, do you know what this means? I think this means like when you like have 2 butterflies, I think they stack diminishingly, so they won't. If you have 25% evasion plus 25%, oh yes, I get it. When you have 25% evasion and then add 25% evasion, it won't be 50%. They won't stack perfectly. Same thing with lifesteal now. You won't, if you have 25% lifesteal and then have another 25% lifesteal, it won't be 50%. It'll be something like 36 or 30 or something like that. HP regen amplification now stacks diminishing by the okay. That's also big because strength heroes got nerfed with that, because you have a hero like Huskar who would just have so much regen. It's going to be diminishingly, not additively, so it'll just be less. That's all I need to know. Heal amplification now stacks diminishingly. Okay. Alright, so all heal is just less now. Heroes get healed less now. Spell lifesteal. Okay. Awesome. They felt that heroes were too sustainable. With heals. Alright, I don't hate that. No longer provides Archer. Okay, so Necronomicon was very broken. In the latest patch, you would get it on pretty much any carry you wanted because it granted mana regen and it just allowed you to farm super fast. It gave you all sorts of different abilities, but let's see what they changed. No longer provides Archer Aura. Cool. That made people attack really fast and move really fast. Attack damage type changed from piercing to a hero, and the damage just... They changed the formula of how much it does versus heroes versus creeps. Not that important. It's just worse for pushing now. So Lycan, I feel like gets a nerf here, especially. Actually, not really, because he didn't care too much about the movement speed from it. He cared more about because he grants super speed with his ultimate anyway to all of his units. Not that huge. Mana regen reduced from 3. Alright, so you still get the same amount of regen when you max it out. But that's big, because when a hero like Spectre picks up a Necro 1, he was getting 3 mana regen, and now it's 2. That's a big deal. It's just harder to farm now. Actually, Seb, 2-time TI winner, was talking about how mana regen on this item is what made it broken, and they nerfed that, which is cool. This is really at 1%. Okay. Alright. So, Helmet Diamond no longer provides a damage and regen aura. Dominate now allows, so gives. Okay, not that important. I'm going to go a little bit faster now until something's extremely important. For beginners. Alright. When there's a recipe change, like this, now requires Mask of Death Blades attack, don't worry about memorizing this kind of thing or worrying about it. When you put it in your quick buy, that means dragging it or shift clicking an item in your shop, it will tell you the components you need. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. Same thing with this. Now requires this, doesn't matter. Okay. Items just being readjusted. Slight buffs, slight nerfs to items. Doesn't affect the game that much for you. Alright, so a new item. That's important to know. So you kind of know what it does. New basic item. Costs 1,000 gold and provides 35 attack speed. Okay. Simple. So before, or now obviously, we have 1,000 gold items that have been 1,000 gold forever, I feel like. And those are Staff of Wizardry, Ogre Axe. They give you 10 strength or 10 intelligence, and they cost 1,000 gold. And now there is an equivalent for attack speed, which is cool. I like that a lot, because what we had before for plain attack speed was we had a Gloves of Haste and we had a Moon Shard. Now we have something in between, which is very, very cool. Now requires Blitz Knuckles instead of Quarterstaff. Okay, don't worry about that. That'll just be in your quick buy, and we'll see what it requires. Bonus damage increase from 10 to 15. Buff. Nerf. So, a way you can get through patches quicker, especially as a beginner, because you don't need to know all the numbers, you can just read it and see, is it a nerf, is it a buff? If it's a buff, I expect to see it in my games more. If it's a nerf, I expect to see it less. And you can skim patches that way. So, for example, I will read mana regen reduced from 5.5 to 4. Okay, so I instantly see, okay, everyone who builds Orchid has been nerfed. So, Storm has been nerfed. Quap has been nerfed. Heroes that love to rely on Orchid have been nerfed. And you can see, sometimes with a patch, you'll see a bullet point that's a nerf and another bullet point that's a buff. So, a great example would be mana regen reduced from 5.5 to 4, intelligence buff from 25 to 30. So you could read that as, okay, I get more damage as an intelligence hero, but I get less mana regen. So you can think about that however you want to. Cost reduced from 1,400 to 1,000. No longer provides 20 attack speed. Wow, that's terrible. Okay, so Shadow Amulet was a decent component for Shadow Blade because it granted you attack speed. Now all it does is allow you to just fade. Is that true? Oh my god, it's so trash. That is insane how bad that is. Wait, what? Seriously? 1,000 gold item just to hide and hide others? That's a bummer. That item's trash. Now combines from Shadow Amulet Cloak. Okay, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Slow is now only applied by real heroes. Okay, perfect example of how Valve isn't clarifying what that means. I'm pretty sure real heroes just means if Monkey King ulties and has an Echo Saber, the slow on his from his clones won't work anymore from the Echo Saber. I think that's what that means. So that means mantas or whatever, but especially no, manta would be illusion. So real heroes, it's got to be about Monkey King. Now requires Echo Saber instead of Ultimate Orb. Change the recipe on that. Reworking. Okay, let's just see if these like this as an exercise. We'll see if these are buffed or nerfed. So strength, intelligence reduced from. They're all scaled down, but perfect example again. Now you get something more from it. So why do they do this? Why do they? All right, all right. Strength, intelligence probably about even now. They didn't change that much from it. You're just getting slightly less stats. You're almost making up from it. It's like a buff in many ways because you get all this. Oh, I see. Oh, I get it. Okay, so a bracer didn't used to give you 3 additional damage, and it didn't used to, and then Wraithband didn't give you this, and it didn't give you that either on a null. Okay, so now you get this, but you lose that. Cool. I like it. I like this a lot for intelligence because I'm a Storm player and I like mana regen and I build null talismans on it. At least one. So I like this change. Yeah. If you're being harassed in lane a lot and you need more armor, or Wraithband is a great option. Okay. Minor things happening to these items. Okay, that's major. So Akaya used to give you mana loss reduction. What that means is when you use a spell, you would use less mana when you use a spell. But now it gives you 24% mana regen amplification. I don't know what that means. I don't know what mana regen amplification. I get that it amplifies your mana regen, but when you use a spell then, or just in general? Just in general. Okay. Because mana loss reduction could also just mean getting burned by anti-mage. So mana loss reduction is not the same thing as just mana loss, right? So when you use a spell and it costs 100 mana, it's a mana loss. But it's also the same thing as sort of anti-mage is burning you or you're being burned by a Abyssal Blade. Okay? Minor change. Is it okay? New mechanics are being introduced. Lifesteal Amplification. What they should do is give you a little bit of an information thing and be like, what is that? Because it just means that when you use a spell and you get spell lifesteal, it means every time you use a spell, you get lifesteal. So if a spell that I did outputted 1,000 damage and it had 10% spell lifesteal, I would get 100 health back when I used it. Yeah. Now provides 10% magic resistance. Okay, so you take 10% less damage from magic when you have these items. Okay, this is interesting. So a soul booster goes into a bloodstone. Okay, but you don't get 20% magic resistance. Okay, what I thought from this for a second was that if this is a component for this, and this had 10% magic resistance, and this had 10% magic resistance, it would be 20. But no, it's just you get the 10% from the soul booster, which is a little bit confusing. But now you understand that. Oh, new item, Pog. New base item. Grants 12% spell lifesteal. 5%, it's creeps. Costs 900 gold. All right, let's think about this for a second. It's important to think a little bit about new items, how it would be used, create your own sort of image of it. So who would get this? People who use spells a lot in team fights. Instantly, I'm thinking Bristleback. Because Bristleback spams his W, right? And every time he hits his W, he hits many heroes. It's a cheap item. It's 900 gold. He loved that talent that he has for spell lifesteal. He likes Octarine Core. This makes a ton of sense. Yeah, new item. Okay, many new items, actually, just 2 so far. Now requires soul booster. Medium mask, okay. So Another thing to watch out for with patches is whenever there's a new item, they will almost always rework how recipes are made, because they need that item to go into certain items now, right? They can't just have a new item and just have it be plain and not go into anything. There's very few items that are like that. I'm pretty sure Wraithband and Null Talisman and Wraithband. I think Wraithband doesn't go into anything anymore. I know they made it look so much like Witch Doctor. I feel like they could have done a better job with that. But they always do this. They always they redesign items all the time of how it looks. So don't worry about it if you don't like the way that looks. Can now target allied units with the magic stick active. But can now target allied units with the magic stick active. Oh, okay. So this item would get combined with the magic stick, and now you can give other people the health that you would get from a magic stick. You can give to your allies now. So imagine you had 20 stick charges. You could give off hundreds of health to your allies now, which is pretty cool. Now requires Claymore instead of Mithril. I think Battle Fury is going to become sort of the Darkseer of the latest patches. What that means is there's a meme about how Darkseer is changed in pretty much every single patch, that they just don't know how to balance that guy. His vacuum cooldown has been not reduced, the opposite of reduced, has been increased like every single time there's a patch. And Battle Fury is an example of how they keep on changing it with the components and how much it does, but it's still going to be good on the heroes that you need it on, like Anti-Mage. Yeah. So mana regen reduced with heroes, that's a big deal. The reason why that's a big deal is because we've seen a latest trend of Ursa and heroes that didn't get Battle Fury before, but now get Battle Fury because they very much benefit from the raw damage and the mana regen. So this is in my opinion, a slight buff to Anti-Mage and heroes that are completely dependent on Battle Fury, which are not many, and a nerf to heroes that maybe build Battle Fury. Okay. Broadsword damage reduced, not a big deal, not a big deal, not a big deal. All this is just some things you will get used to. Cool. That's a major cooldown reduction. If I'm skimming the patch notes and I see something, oh, I thought that said 14, but 24 is also significant. Because remember, whenever a cooldown gets reduced, it means that it's up faster, but also like the downtime is just less. Stun duration. All right, here's how I read this. Meteor Hammer, better for pushing because it's reduced cooldown, worse for fighting because they nerf the stun. Why do they do that? They want you to push with this item. It gives you great regen. It gives you amazing mana regen and health regen. It gives you great stats. And like, it has a low cooldown. That's super good. I wonder if we'll see this on pushing heroes, like even like a DP maybe. I don't know. Probably not, but it could happen. It definitely might happen. This actually, I might do that. Looks really good on her. The reason why it looks good on Death Prophet is because Death Prophet likes health and mana regen a lot. She likes pushing a ton. She needs the stats to tank up. The only downside of it is that she has to still stand still in front of the tower she's meteor hammering, and that's why we don't really see it on a DP very often, because she likes to move around with her spirits around her. So, okay. No longer has a heal reduction aura. I did not know it had one. Okay. Soul release regen increased. It makes you feel better, like, people who've been playing this game for 10 years or in top 1% or whatever it is still don't know some mechanics. Especially when it comes down to hero-specific things. Like, do not feel bad if you don't know exactly what a spell does. That's why we're doing the Hero Basics series, because you want to know the basics of a hero. You don't need to know every single thing about that hero to play against it or to play it with it. You just need to know the general idea, and and how you should play around it and how you should play against it. Okay. Okay, not major, not major. Reduce the direction. Okay, they've been reducing the cost of Quelling Blade for a while now. It's you can get, let's see, 20 extra gold. I'm trying to think of the starting items of how you could change the starting items, saving this 20 gold. Not by much. Just nicer. You have to spend less gold on it. You deal less damage as a melee hero from it. Slightly more for a ranged hero, but still a must-have item on melee carries. Recipe cost reduced. All right, they just changed this. All right, people have been complaining about this. All right, Abyssal Blade. The cast range for Abyssal Blade was so much. The fact that you could use it from so far away was practically a blink dagger. So heroes like Ursa didn't need to buy a blink anymore. They could just buy an Abyssal Blade and just almost have a full blink distance. And that was just not right. Okay. They buffed Hand of Midas. Hand of Midas was not purchased by many heroes. As an Invoker player, I like to see that they buff the experience. That is very cool, because you need experience on the mid laners who buy Midas, so I like that. Cooldown reduction from 185. Okay, they want to see more fights because they reduce the cooldown of Refresher Orb. It's a very cool late game item that makes a lot of fights happen, so we'll see more of it. We'll see more of Nullifier. Harder to play around because it moves faster through the air. You can dodge it. It's harder to dodge it with BKB. Recipe cost reduction for Aghanim's Blessing. All right, so they want you to be able to get 6-slotted faster with heroes, you know, or not to say 6-slotted, but 7-slotted now, because you could get Aghanim's Blessing. Aghanim's Blessing, if you don't know, gives you an Aghanim's, but it allows you to not have to hold it in your inventory. Reduces the cooldown from 40. Okay, they want you to be able to teleport around even quicker. Whenever I see a Boots of Travel buff centered around cooldown, it's a nerf to Tinker. Why? Tinker relies on Boots of Travel more than any other hero in the game. He doesn't care about the cooldown because he resets it. So when we see things like reduces the cooldown for Boots of Travel, I like that because I don't like Tinker and I want Tinker to be nerfed. Cost of reduction of Smoke and Deceit 80 to 50. Again, we said this at the beginning, guys. They want to see more fights. Valve wants to see more fights. Why do we know that? Example right here. Smoke of Deceit 80 to 50. They don't want you to have to think about the gold. If you want to make a play, go make a play. It's just the major barrier for Smoke of Deceit is how many you have, not how much gold it costs. But they want the how much gold it costs to be even lower. Replenish cooldown reduced from 90 to 85. Okay, so you can get Sentry Wards faster. Supports rejoice about that, and Invis heroes can cry about that. Cost reduced from 150. Okay, right. I love this change. I love this change. As a support player, I call myself a support player. I don't know why, but I play everything. But anyway, if I'm a support player, I like not having to spend 150 gold on a Tome of Knowledge or a tome. Sometimes you just don't have any money whatsoever, and the thing sits in stock, and you're so embarrassed because it's like, you don't want someone else to take it. You don't want the Invoker who's 5 levels ahead of you to take it from you. You just want to be able to get it instantly, and now usually you have 75 gold to your name. So I can think of a few people that like that change. Moved from miscellaneous shop category to equipment with the other attack speed rooms. That is completely irrelevant. Don't worry about that. It's just going to be a different place in the shop, but you should be shopping with your search command. You don't need to know where everything is in the shop. That's not needed. Pickup range for mangoes has changed from 150 to 300. Awesome. So you don't have to pick up range. All that means is exactly what it sounds like. You don't need to stand right on top of a mango to pick it up. You can go mango picking from farther away. Now has a mini-map icon. Awesome. So if you played Dota recently, since the mango tree thing, the first question is, when it's placed, where's the mango tree? And now you will know where it is. And if it's not on the mini-map and you see one, it is not yours. Before, the only way that you could tell if a mango tree was yours is if it gave vision or not. If it didn't give vision, it's not yours. No longer drops if another consumable item has dropped in the same tier. Okay. What that means is that if a royal jelly gets dropped, you can't also have a mango tree and vice versa. These items were very strong together, especially. The reason why that is because they're tier 1 items that help you at the tier 3 stage. I mean, mango trees are great at all stages of the game. And same thing with jelly. So anything permanent, slight nerf. Active damage reduced from 50 to 40. They felt like the active of Iron Talon was too strong. Attack range, it's been buffed. Yeah, I love it. I think Broom Handle was probably the worst tier 1 item. It just wasn't preferred by any melee carry. Really, besides like Monkey King and PA or whatever, but just not a great item. Now it's better. 50 is pretty significant. Movement speed reduced from 25 to 20. Not that significant. Not that significant. Okay, so no longer drops of another consumable. The same thing we saw in tier 1s is the same thing going on with tier 3s. You can have a repair kit and a greater fairy fire. This is less of a big deal because I think greater fairy fires, personally, I don't think it's a great item. But clearly, look at that. They buffed it because it wasn't that great. Now it has a 60-second cooldown on repair kit. I love this change. So repair kit was too strong because the whole idea of it just messed with Dota. Like you could be like have a team wipe, and if one hero was alive to repair kit it and you didn't have a push lineup to get through it, it would really ruin your game. So now they can't just continuously use repair kit on the same tower, which is awesome. Love it. I really like to see changes like this because it shows that Valve watches this game religiously and pays attention to the little things that we complain about. So that's very cool. That's one thing that they get props for. Okay, so Tempest Double is Arc Warden's ultimate, and it just means that he doesn't get that 400 range from Tempest Double, from Enchanted Quiver on his double, which is probably just a bug or something they didn't intend in the first place. Okay. Orb of Destruction slowed. I didn't know that. That's fine. When you're reading a patch notes and you see that something changed from one thing to another and you didn't know the original, that's always a good feeling. Okay, cool. Not a big deal. Cooldown reduced. Alright, they buffed Mindbreaker. Love that, because I think that tier 3 items are solid, and I think it needed a buff. So that's awesome. It just means that you might be able to get 2 Mindbreakers off in a fight pretty reliably. So as a Storm, if I see a Mindbreaker, I'm definitely taking this item, because I can go on one person. To sip to him takes 2 seconds. To go on him takes another 3 seconds. That means I've got about 10 more seconds until I have it up again, which is awesome. Okay, so Titan Sliver was a strong item. Status resistance in nature is just a good thing to have because it means you are stunned and slowed and all the kinds of disables you can think of for less time, which is just a strong concept when you think of it. Like, as a carry hero, or really as any hero, you want to be controlled for less time, and that's what this did. So they had to reduce that a bit. Okay, not major. Now has a minimum 200 range blink. Alright, so when you would spam flicker, you'd be just jumping all over the place, and now they want it to be a little bit more contained, which I like, because flicker is already RNG enough. So you want to think about, okay, if I use my flicker, how can I at least use a little bit of my skill to sort of assume or guess where I'm going to end up before you just hit flicker and you can just go anywhere. It was kind of ridiculous. Okay. Not that important. It's easier to kill the Illusionist Cape. I like that a lot as somebody who gets baited by Illusionist Cape like anybody else. Especially on a hero. This is a very value thing. It's not very beginner friendly, but I want to mention it because it's pretty cool. When you pick up Illusionist Cape, you can absolutely give it to somebody else, like any other jungle item or neutral item. You can bait people who wouldn't normally have it for example, a Slardar. Let's say Slardar picks up Illusionist Cape and you send it out. Like, you're not going to think he has a Manta. And if you don't have vision of the runes, you might think it's an illusion. But let's say, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have enough time to think about it. I would say, as a beginner especially, I know I say it's not for beginners, but I guarantee you that if you try that trick and you send an illusion on someone who doesn't have a Manta style, they will go on it. Because I do, and I'm not really a beginner. At least I don't think so. Okay, impact radius increased from 350 to 400. Impact base damage. Alright, I like this. Havoc Hammer needed to be buffed. Like, you would hit that button and, like, a tiny radius around you would be pushed back, and I like to see that it's more. They just buff the item. Base damage, everything. Okay, Havoc Hammer is now not terrible. Heal increased from 300 to 400. Not that major. Again, with these kinds of patches, right? If you've been complaining about a certain item, or if Reddit has been religiously complaining about an item, it will be buffed. Are you planning to continue the 3-minute hero guides? My friend is really new and they've been great for him. He only plays Abaddon now because of the video. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we are making one right now. So yeah, they're gonna come out like around weekly. Right now it's just that each hero takes a very different amount of time. Sometimes one mechanic will take us like a couple of days to think about how to explain, but I'm really glad to hear that it helps your friend. Thanks for stopping by, Nate. Okay. No longer steals gold on kills. Can be activated to dig for bounty runes. 100% success rate. 100%. You don't see many things that are 100% in Dota, so that's fun. And the cooldown is 40. Okay, so at the time you get a pirate hat, bounties are worth like 300 gold almost. So you're getting an extra 300 gold every 40 seconds for your entire team. So we're talking about 1,200. I would say that's significant. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it's not abnormal to see one team be up by 10k gold and it just not matter at that stage of the game, but still, the way I see this is it really helps people get to afford buyback quicker. Because those little 1,000 gold jumps, they're not huge to be able to get to your next item like Refresher, but they are helpful in affording buyback. So that is Abaddon Spammer. Yeah. So that is the patch review. My quick kind of first impressions of this patch. I love it, guys. I love this patch. It's not that major, but like these maintenance patches are terrific because they'll take all of our complaints, all of our little complaints, and they'll just refine them. They'll just refine them a little bit. They'll buff the things that need to be buffed, and they'll nerf things that need to be nerfed. These are my favorite kinds of patches. Like anybody else, when Valve comes out with those giga patches, where it's like hero has been reworked, map changes, the ones after TI are just so complicated to digest. So it's nice to see ones that are just like, okay, I can think of, even before reading this patch, if I had to tell somebody, let's say someone didn't have the time to read this or watch anything, I would simply say, think about all the things you've been complaining about, all the jungle claims you've been complaining about got buffed, and all the stuff that you didn't really like got nerfed, or the things that you knew were strong got nerfed. That's it. Absolutely, thanks. And yeah, that makes sense. I can't imagine how the 3-minute Invoker video would be possible. Yeah, all right. You guys explained it in such a way that him who has no MOBA experience understood. I'm glad. Does he know that the Abaddon video was like our very first one, and that, you know, I think that they've gotten a little bit better since then. So does he like the other videos? If by Abaddon spammer you mean he's played 3 bot games, then yes. All right, well, he's a spammer when he hits 4 games in a row. That's the cutoff. Like, if I see someone in recents who's, let's just pick on a random person and see if they're a hero spammer. Okay, I won't call him out, but you can see in there, 4 in a row. So yeah, thank you guys so much for checking out this patch review. before we go, is there anything that you wanted to see, anything you wanted to be reviewed, any questions you have about our 3-minute basic tutorials, or anything questions about you have for Dota? I'm more than willing to chill and answer any Dota questions you have, or life questions, but I'm probably not as good at those. While you think about that, I'm just gonna put on a game to watch. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to think of anything. And yeah. We have watched the Axe one and the Ogre one. He prefers tanky heroes, so he is either gonna be an offlaner or support. He really liked the Ogre video. Multicast had him hooked. That's awesome. I like the starting Dota as tanky heroes because it really teaches you of how to play around your team. So one thing you can tell your friend, if you want to, or whatever, in a nice way, of course, is that those kinds of heroes, I don't know, like, you know, how long you play the game or something like that, but like aura items like Crimson Guard and Pipe, those items force you to be around your teammates and play objectives. What that means is, like, you know, go for towers or go for Roshan. Again, I apologize for reiterating things that you probably already know, but something that he could really benefit from is I found that when I was just starting Dota out, I didn't understand the idea of team play. I really would just load into a game, try to cast my spells on heroes that were in front of me, and then just hope it went well. I didn't think about, like, oh, our team needs magic resistance, or oh, it needs physical damage resistance. And so playing heroes like Underlord or Ogre or whatever, those heroes are helpful in learning that concept. Okay, well, cool. Seems like you guys got your questions answered. See you all in the